How you doing, everybody? It's Wardy here, and we got a big New York Mets Juan Soto update to get into right here, right now. And this comes from, yes, Carlos Beltran, former Mets great and current special assistant to the president of baseball operations, and David Stearns. Beltran was recently in attendance at a charity pickleball event, and he was asked about his thoughts on not only Juan Soto, but Francisco Lindor's connection and recruiting Juan Soto with the Mets and everything in between. And he had some glowing remarks highlighted by the following: the Mets will do whatever it takes to land Juan Soto and his services. More on Carlos Beltran's remarks regarding not only Juan Soto, but Lindor's current connection to Soto and the current recruitment process that's going on, and everything in between is what we're about to break down right here, everybody. But I want to see your initial reactions to the news from Carlos Beltran's mouth himself. Again, you have to be excited if you're a Mets fan to be hearing this right here, right now. Let's see them in the comments down below, everybody. Make sure to smash a like and subscribe as your first chime in. Greatly appreciate it. And thank you guys all so much in advance for hearing from our amazing sponsor at BetUS. BetUS has you covered all your sports betting needs, everybody. Make sure you head over to betus.com.pa today. That way you too can get involved in the action, like we are hammering a 3-leg UFC 309 bet for this weekend there. Huge card that we're going to see at Madison Square Garden, highlighted by Stipe Miocic and John Jones fighting there, that we're going to see for the championship. Michael Chandler, Charles Oliveira, and we're also going to see Paul Craig versus Bo Nickel. That's another key matchup on this card that I like. We're going with all the favorites here because as a UFC big fight fan like myself, I know how dominant John Jones is. I know that Stipe Miocic, the last time he was out there, I didn't love too much of what I was seeing versus John Jones as a heavyweight, was an absolute animal and took care of Cyril Gane like it was yesterday. My fight fans know that. Charles Oliveira is an absolute spider monkey. Michael Chandler, I give him credit. He fights the top of the top, but he consistently loses to the top of the top. Bo Nickel's a high riser there in the organization, in the UFC, and I fully expect him to come out with the victory over Paul Craig. That's going to be a 3-leg parlay. That's 40 to win 30 total. Hopefully we come out with that $70 turnout with all those 3 legs hitting in UFC 309 this weekend. Feel free to tail these bets, everybody. Please know I'm not a betting expert. I'm just a diehard fan, and I love my fight weekends that we're going to see with UFC 309 this weekend. So hope to see you guys all there chiming in, either there at the fight itself at Madison Square Garden or watching from your homes and placing bets just like I did. But now let's hop back into this, everybody, and let's talk about this article here from Joseph, and I might butcher the last name, so I apologize in advance. Rebollas? Again, I could have completely butchered that. I sincerely apologize if I did. No less, Joseph, who's a Hispanic reporter based out of Puerto Rico, had the following to say in his piece here with Carlos Beltran one-on-one. And what I did, because this entire article is in Spanish, and I don't know, look, unfortunately, shame on me, I know. I took basically the entire article and put it into Google Translate, so if there's some things that aren't entirely accurate, I do apologize, but we're going to do our best here. And some things that I want to highlight are as follows. The race for Juan Soto has already begun, and former Puerto Rican Major Leaguer Carlos Beltran has no doubt that the owner of the New York Mets, Steve Cohen, is willing to open his wallet to bring the most sought-after free agent in the majors to Queens. Beltran, the assistant to franchise's president's baseball operations of David Stearns, is one of the figures with the most authority to comment on the Mets' possible moves, which is true with the players available on the free agent market after the conclusion of the 2024 World Series. And I quote, "The Mets want to improve the team, and there's no doubt that they will go after all the players who are on their free agent market, knowing that the piece that everyone wants is Juan Soto, and the Mets do not rule out going full blast after him." So Beltran and his side with a local press during a charity pickleball tournament for Rain and Rose Charitable Fund by Mark Basile, which is awesome there that we see at Dorado Beach Resort in this municipality. And expand further here on this piece, we see the following, and I quote, "The owner of the Mets is one of the wealthiest in the game, and he wants to win. When he tells the press that he wants to win, he doesn't say it so that the fans get excited and go to the ballpark. Really, it is something personal for him, and I was able to experience this firsthand this year being around the team," he assured when talking here to the reporter. And then going on further here from his quotes here, breaking down Scott Boras as well, and I quote, "Scott Boras is going to push the envelope as far as he can. That is his type of negotiation, and as a player, he is the agent you want to have in that position. Soto has the numbers, so it's not that Boras is going to fool anybody, but that he is going to sell his product for what it is, one of quality, consistent, young, and experience in the playoffs, and that over the years has remained healthy," he said. Expand a little bit further here, and when talking about Francisco Lindor and his current connection in this, let's expand a little bit further. As we know, Lindor did touch base in LA yesterday. There's been some controversial reporting going on because initially we saw a report from SNY earlier yesterday which suggested that Lindor will be active in the recruitment process. Then we find out from TMZ hours later that he lands in LA the same week that they're in LA to talk to Scott Boras and Juan Soto. Then we find out that supposedly he was there just for a photo shoot with Oakley or some type of brand like that, and he's already back with his family, back in Florida or a different state. I don't know how entirely true that is, considering it feels pretty obvious that Lindor, if he's going to go out of his way to be there the entire time while Steve Cohen and David Stearns are also there, part of the recruitment process, getting set for their early negotiation with Juan Soto, I'm hard-pressed to believe that Francisco Lindor is not factoring in at all, even if it's at a little aspect of something greater. It's hard to imagine, because let's not forget, when it came to Yoshinobu Yamamoto last offseason, teams were unrolling the entire red carpet. They were showcasing all their top talents as part of some meetings as well. As things really got deeper into negotiation, we saw the Dodgers have guys like Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, etc. there present there at the stadium itself to talk it up with him. We also saw to an extent with other organizations doing this with players in recent years, including when Ohtani first came to the States as well back in the 2017-2018 area. For a coveted star like Juan Soto, I at the bare minimum expect our captain and our NL MVP candidate and Francisco Lindor to be at least part of things to a certain manner as part of this recruitment process, which was initially reported again by ESPN. And Beltran is sure that a figure like Lindor will play an important role during the negotiations with Soto. Going back to the article here, even though he comes from having Aaron Judge favored to win the American League MVP as a teammate. And I quote, "That's always important. I think that as a free agent player, knowing what Lindor did last year and knowing what he can do, that there is no doubt that you want to relate or share your career with players like Lindor." Going on further here, I know that is an influence, and I know that Soto's probably going to consider that, he said. And I quote, "Soto already experienced Judge. Now he has the opportunity to listen at least to Lindor." He said between laughs without confirming that the Puerto Rican shortstop traveled to the West Coast of the United States. Mind you, Lindor, when questioned about if he was going to be part of anything Soto related, he did not say. Then we heard from outside sources, third parties, that apparently Lindor was there for the photo shoot, and that was that. Again, I'll leave you guys up to believe whatever you want to believe on that front, but what I do believe is that at least to an extent Lindor is a part of this recruitment process, that we know, rightfully so. And to hear these glowing words from Carlos Beltran, knowing how adamant and how willing of an owner Steve Cohen is, and experience this firsthand there, having a more everyday role in the organization. Because for Mets fans that say aren't aware, remember Billy Epler originally hired Carlos Beltran a couple off seasons ago. Then we saw heading into the 2024 season, the Mets increased Carlos Beltran's role there, still as a special assistant from GM, then a from Epler there to Stearns, but to actually be actively involved with the team on a day-by-day basis. That was something that wasn't the case in year one in 2023 under Epler. That was the case, however, with a guy in David Stearns who idolized Carlos Beltran growing up, as he was a diehard Mets fan growing up, witnessing that 2006 Mets run. We're not going to talk about the end, Carlos. We all know what happened there, but all the great runs that the Mets had with Carlos Beltran during his time in Queens. Stearns was a diehard young fan, really getting a chance to appreciate it, so it makes sense that he put him in a more advanced everyday role here to have a further role in this front office over the course of the 2024 season. And clearly that paid dividends for this Mets team, as Beltran was one of endless factors that went into the Mets' success here in 2024, including just the impact that he has with certain guys in the clubhouse, including one Francisco Lindor, who he has a great relationship with. So now we look at Juan Soto, who is a coveted star, as we know, who would do wonders not only for the Mets, but also this market as well. We all know how much Soto dominated the Bronx and dominated the market as well, as a truly dominant, one of the best Hispanic players that we see in the game today. Whether you're Puerto Rican, Dominican, Venezuelan, what have you, these guys taking over New York is always a fantastic thing, because you have such great descent of Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Venezuelans there that truly appreciate and care about baseball as much as anybody else. And as someone who experienced the World Baseball Classic in person in Miami a year and a half ago there, seeing Team Puerto Rico, led by Francisco Lindor, before frickin' Diaz's knee pop, basically, facing Venezuela, I could tell you how much that passion was true, the same way that I know the passion would be even greater than what it currently is there in Flushing, Queens with Francisco Lindor, should you bring in a superstar like Juan Soto to pair alongside with him. Regardless of the future with other current free agents and Pete Alonso, everyone in the rotation, and then some, and so on on and so forth, Juan Soto is not only a probability of being a top priority for the Mets, but he already is one, and that's exactly why he's destined to, hopefully, God willing, do great things in Queens for the next 10 to 15 years after the Mets ink him to what? A $700 million contract, $650, beyond $700 million. I'm really curious, what kind of contract do you guys expect Juan Soto to get this offseason? And two, how much faith do you have in the Mets in their heavy pursuit of Juan Soto after hearing these glowing remarks from their special assistant to the president of baseball operations himself and former Mets legend himself and Carlos Beltran? Let us know your thoughts down below in the comments, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. If you would like to check out this article, I will have a link down below in the description as well, should you guys want to get a further deep dive and look into things. Outside that, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for consistent content on all things Mets all off season long. This is your guy Wardy signing out. Peace out, folks, and let's go Mets. Peace out.